Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain an erotic thriller series called Dark Desire from 2020. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The 10th episode opens with Zoe preparing in front of the mirror. Scene shifts to Alma teaching her class about why victims choose to suffer from violence, explaining the boiled frog syndrome, where victims justify criminals' actions. Meanwhile, Darío exercises in his room. Cut to Zoe talking with Karina on the way to class, as Karina asks about the skirt. Zoe admits about Darío, texting him that they will meet at 12. Darío gets in his car, ready to leave. The scene changes again to Alma as Nancy tells Alma about Darío's absence, warning about their relationship. She also tells her this can violate university protocols. A woman comes and informs Alma that access has been gained. The scene cuts to Esteban, who is searching for clues related to Brenda in Cuernavaca footage. Alma comes to his office and asks about the footage. He tells her that his employee is doing the job. Meanwhile, Edith is asking Leonardo about Brenda's body being exhumed, but Leonardo refuses to talk about Brenda. He tells her that all information related to Brenda's case is classified. He then warns Edith to stay quiet and to not tell Esteban anything. The story goes back to Esteban as he questions Alma about accessing the database. She tells him that her colleague helped to whom Alma lied about investigating her daughter's boyfriend to gain access. Esteban mocks Alma, saying that Zoe and Darío together make a lot more sense than Darío and Alma being together. Alma warns him not to tell this even as a joke. Esteban leaves the topic and asks what she found out. Alma informs him that Darío is the son of a prestigious lawyer named Alberto Guerra, who died in 2008 from a heart attack. She also adds that his mother's name is Lucero Andrade, and she is a housewife, and they are socialites who currently live in Paris. Darío also graduated from a prestigious school. Esteban asks her what she thinks about this information. She tells him that they are investigating the wrong Darío Guerra. Esteban sees the information and jokes to her that if this is true, then Darío is like an angel. Alma reminds him that the source of information is not some random site, but the National Security Personnel Accreditation. She also adds that based on the evidence, she thinks Darío is not the murderer. Esteban hears her side of the story and tells her to listen to his side now. He brings out some old files and tells her that Darío Guerra is the son of Antonio Guerra, who is a mechanic in Cuernavaca and is also the murderer of a little girl. Alma asks him if it's true, then why is Dario's background so clean? Esteban replies that he also has connections like her and changed his background in the national database. Alma tells him that this is absurd and that doing this is not easy either. Esteban reminds her that she also got access to the database. He also asks her if it's a coincidence that Darío is also a mechanic like his father. Alma defends that he is also a lawyer like Alberto Guerra. Esteban asks her that she never asked him about his background or his family and upbringing anyway. Instead, she was busy getting intimate with him. Alma feels disrespected and starts leaving, but Esteban requests her to read the rest of the files at least, but Alma leaves. The scene cuts and Karina sees Zoe and Darío making out on the campus. Karina goes up to her and tells her that she is leaving. Zoe leaves her alone and asks Darío where he is taking her. Darío tells her that it's a surprise, but Zoe keeps requesting him to tell her. The story goes back to Alma, who is discussing with Esteban while they are leaving. She tells him that she is not telling him that Darío, who is Antonio Guerra's son, doesn't exist. Rather, they might be two different people. Alma tells him that the only way to find out is to talk with him directly, which Esteban interprets as her finding another excuse to meet with him. Alma tells him that she just wants to know if he is truly a madman, or if they are making him one in their minds. Alma also tells him that she doesn't know if this is a paranoid police movie, or if they have a much simpler explanation. Esteban tells her that he also prays that there is a much simpler explanation. The story goes back to Darío, as he drives Zoe to an empty field. In the background, Alma narrates about the boiled frog syndrome, where a frog is slowly boiled from cold to hot water. But it doesn't jump out of the pot even though there is no lid to cover it, because it slowly gets used to the heat, and before it knows it's too late. Darío asks Zoe if she likes his plan, and she smiles and agrees. The scene changes, and Leonardo is having flashbacks from the time when he and Esteban were recovering the body of little Leslie, who was murdered by Dario's father. He promised Esteban that he would avenge the girl. The flashback ends, and Leonardo is in a meeting in his office about witnesses giving false statements. The flashback continues, and Leonardo meets Brenda, who is the lead witness of Leslie Delgado's murder. Brenda is brought into the office to identify the murderer from several suspects. After seeing Leonardo, She says that number 5, Antonio Guerra, is the murderer. Later, Brenda and Leonardo are cheering with drinks in her bed together. Brenda starts making love to him, but Leonardo tells her that they can't continue. The scene changes to the present, and Esteban is visiting the place where Lucinda lives. He tells the sister that he is an agent of health and life insurance and wants to talk with Lucinda. He shows Lucinda a picture of Darío and asks if she can recognize him as her son. Lucinda tells him that Darío is dead and starts crying. He tries to comfort her, and the sister comes and asks what is happening. Lucinda tells her too that Darío died. The sister gets angry and asks Esteban what he did to her. He defends himself that he just showed some photos and nothing else. The sister tells him to leave, but before leaving, he asks the sister if Lucinda has other offspring. The sister tells him that he should talk about this with Darío and leaves. The scene cuts to Alma, who is searching for Darío in his garage. The employee informs her that Darío is not there. He also adds that he doesn't know when he will come back and asks if she wants to leave any message for Darío. Alma tells him no, but later tells him that she will leave a written message on his desk. While doing so, she finds Zoe's number stuck to Dario's computer. She then calls Zoe to confirm, but Darío is near the phone and drops it in a puddle of water. Darío then calls back Zoe, who is walking in the field. Zoe tells him that she is hungry. Darío gets a basket out of his car's trunk, and they start going inside the nearby forest. The background cuts to Darío and Zoe making love in his room. Alma goes upstairs to Dario's room to search for Zoe, but Dario's employee tells her that Darío is not there. She asks the employee if he has seen her daughter. The employee tells her no, and she leaves. Alma then calls Karina and leaves a voicemail asking where Zoe is and whether she is with Karina. The story goes back to Darío, who is cutting an apple. He tells Zoe that he used to come here with his dad when he was younger. He talks about how he was close to his dad and talked about everything. He then starts kissing Zoe and touching her in private places. Zoe tries to stop him, but he continues. She tells him that she has never done anything like this before. Darío tells her to relax and they start kissing again. Then they start making love in the field. Nighttime comes and Alma is panicking in her house about Zoe. Leonardo tries to calm her, saying this won't be the last time for Zoe's disappearance. Alma tells him that Zoe's phone is off and Karina also hasn't called her. Leonardo tries to argue that that's how teenagers are and they prefer texting more. Alma reminds him that Zoe's phone is also off. She is browsing Zoe's computer for any clue and Karina calls her back. She informs Alma that Zoe left with a friend. She also tells her that her friend is a very handsome guy whom she met at an auto repair shop. Hearing this, Alma runs to Leonardo and tells him that they need to mobilize the police. The scene cuts to Esteban, who is still going through footage and gets a call from Vallejo. Vallejo informs him about what Leonardo did. But right at that moment, Esteban sees a person in front of Brenda's house in the footage. He holds the call and zooms in on the person. The scene changes to Alma, who is now a crying mess. Leonardo comes to her and informs her that the police are here and they are working. He tries to comfort her, but she says it's her fault. Alma comes clean to Leonardo about her and Dario's affair. Leonardo gets angry but asks how it is related to Zoe's disappearance. Alma tells him that that's why she needs to talk to the police, but Leonardo warns her not to say a word to anyone. He tells her that he will take care of everything and leaves. The scene cuts to Darío holding Zoe naked in his arms in front of the bathtub. He gets in the bathtub with Zoe and he is holding a blade. He then proceeds to cut Zoe's wrist with the blade. The scene changes, and Darío is seen sitting in the same place in the forest alone. The episode ends with him driving away from the forest. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.